Success in Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's Kerry, Lutz, and spring looks like it's about to break out, in spite of the fact that this year, Comrade de Blasio was kind enough to spare the life of Staten Island Chuck. He didn't drop him and kill him like he did to Staten Island Charlotte last year. So score one for capitalism, I guess. But it certainly isn't spring as far as the world economy is concerned. We've gotten Martin Armstrong with us, and good news happening there is the biopic about him, The Forecaster, is just going viral. It's going nuts all over the world. It's actually coming to the United States. Martin's got news about that. Martin, great to talk to you. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so first, update. The movie, The Forecaster, what's going on there?
Well, all of a sudden, they suddenly had an American distributor step up to the plate and said, fine, they wanted to do it. And then not only did they want to do it, they wanted to do it in less than 4 weeks. So it just took me totally by surprise. But up to that point, it's being shown virtually everywhere. The distributors have signed up for Russia, Canada, everywhere throughout Europe, Asia. The United States was the only place it wasn't going to be shown. And it was interesting. I did meet with somebody from Hollywood, and he said, this is really a fantastic story. He says, because they were talking about they would like to make a movie of it, like with actors and stuff. But he says, well, it could be a little tough. I said, what are you talking about? He says, well, we have what we call self-censorship. I said, self-censorship? I said, is this since the McCarthy days?
Yeah.
He says, well, to raise money, if we're talking about the government and the banks, he says, that might be a tough one to sell.
Yeah, and sounds like Operation Choke Point. If you want to use credit cards to see the movie, not so easy, huh?
Yeah, so, that's why I went with the Europeans to begin with, because, I experienced that with the U.S. press. And, Gretchen Morgensen had put me on the front page of the New York Times, and all of a sudden she wasn't allowed to write about me anymore. And same thing happened at Bloomberg. It was constant. So it's quite interesting, the way things are. People think that we have a free press or whatever. We don't. It's all owned by corporates, and basically the mainstream press will they do whatever the government tells them to do, or whatever their banker tells them to do. So you're not going to get anything really worthwhile from them. And that's why Snowden had to go to London. And people should pay attention to that. Why was it the Guardian that ends up doing it? I spoke to people in Capitol Hill for at least 2 years before then. And they were telling me, Marty, be careful what you put in an email to us or talk on the phone, because the NSA is taking everything. And I said, even your stuff? And they said, yeah. So it was just told to me point blank over the phone. So it wasn't like in some dark corner or we had to go to a bar and let me, tell you, quietly. So if they're saying it kind of nonchalantly to me at that level, then every journalist in Washington, D.C. also knew. Why wasn't it being published? And that's why if Snowden had walked into any American newspaper with all that NSA stuff, they would offer him a cup of coffee and say, here, what do you want, sugar or cream, while they're just stalling and waiting for the NSA to come pick them up. The only way we ever heard about that was getting it to the Guardian. And then how's the American press handle it? Oh, my God, look at this. They didn't know. It's just ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous.
We know from Cheryl Atkinson that the intelligence agencies infiltrated her computer. They actually uploaded compromising files on it, and they were ready to basically charge her with crimes in all likelihood. The only thing that happened was that she got CBS to do a world-class security organization there, and they found the files and that she had been compromised, along with CBS's network, which you would think they wouldn't they would use a a very sophisticated encryption system. Firewall. They wouldn't be easily infiltrated, but who out there has got the ability to infiltrate CBS? And you got to figure it's got to be very sophisticated hackers or government, right?
Well, actually, is one of the things in the movie is that after our model had correctly forecast the collapse of Russia in '98, and the CIA had called and they wanted us to give them our model because if you have something that can predict geopolitical events like that, then it's suddenly important. And they want me to actually go down there and build something for them. I said, look, we'll run any study you want, no problem, but we're not going to, I don't have the time to go down to Washington and start building a computer for you people. And they said, no, they have to own it. I said, well, sorry. Not getting it. And
that started
then we started getting hacked.
Huh? That was your
We started getting hacked at that point. And it was interesting because one of the guys in the movie was in our IT department. He's a very accomplished type of hacker. I called him. I said, hey, get your ass over here real fast. And what was happening was the first time I ever saw it, the IP addresses kept revolving. And that clearly was somebody that had super high-tech ability, and it was the first time I ever saw something like that. And, I mean, now it's more common. But it began, and we finally traced it back and went right to Langley. So
right, there you have it.
So we knew exactly what was going on at that point. But it's interesting. I mean, I don't know what these people do with this stuff or with the NSA or whatever. I mean, but every email, every text message, every phone call, they have it. And it's going to be stored perpetually. Why? What are they so paranoid about? Why do they have to have everything? They collect so much stuff that if, like the Boston bombers, I mean, those were two kids using cell phones.
Yeah.
If you're collecting everything on everybody in the entire world, all right, you're not going to have the time to go, to pick it up if somebody says they're going to go bomb something tomorrow. By the time you get to that call, it's too late.
Not happening. It's gone at that point. You're finished.
Yeah. So they're collecting way too much stuff, and now China is retaliating and basically kicked out all American technology, and they're saying anybody wants to sell that stuff over there, they have to have backdoors put in and all encryption keys so that they can access absolutely everything. So I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's no privacy to anything anymore.
Right. Privacy's dead. So the movie, we've got some previews coming up. I think LA, you said, and New York.
Yeah, it's going to be in LA. I believe March 27th, and then it will appear there for 1 week, 3 showings a day, from what I was told, and then it appears in New York. I think April 6th or 7th. I don't know. We put it on our site. And the same thing there, 3 showings a day for a week.
Great. I can hardly wait because the injustice and your story's compelling. And hey, your story hasn't really been told, and your story, the final chapter, hasn't been written either. And I just remember you telling me that about what happened when certain members of Congress came to see you when you were still being held, and all of that.
The whole thing is very interesting, and there is no single government. I mean, when I go to get down the Capitol Hill, I'm actually introduced as, this is the guy with the model they've been trying to suppress.
Yeah.
And you look at them like, yeah, okay.
Okay.
It's you have basically 3 departments that are all at war with each other to some degree.
Yeah, and no one trusts anybody, right?
And I mean, I've found myself between the SEC and CFTC. I mean, the '87 crash, that the SEC was blaming the futures, so they're blaming the CFTC, and it wasn't their fault. Then the CFTC is coming to me, would you testify for us and tell them everybody was currency, not our future? It's like crazy. It's like,
Twilight Zone.
It is. It ends up being, like a nursery school.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and somehow it's all supposed to work. And then we find ourselves in the current situation. The euro down to 107 and change today. Big hit. And the world stock markets are taking it on the chin. We still going to see the Dow peaking here? Or what's going on with the U.S. stock markets?
Well, I don't think we're in for a major high in the stock market yet, but it looks more like that's probably going to blast off to the upside, more or less going into about 17. Mm-hmm. But I think we're really just going to continue to tread water with the U.S. stock market, because largely the thinking process has to reverse. I did a research book, which actually we're going to put out again. It was the greatest bull market. And I had to read all the newspapers going into 1929 and afterwards. And the striking thing that I noticed was that the thinking process actually changes. Going up, interest rates basically doubled, stock market rallied. And the interpretation in newspapers was that, well, interest rates went up another tick. That shows that demand for money is still good. Economy is doing well. Whenever interest rates go down, it's because the economy is not doing well and the stock market falls. So, but what has happened since the New Deal, we basically get inundated with propaganda. So your TV shows will go, oh, they raised interest rates, so people will be able to buy less. It's more or less today, it's like, well, okay, if they raise rates, the stock market should go down. Why? Because government doesn't want us to buy it. It's what government wants. It's not what the market is.
Oh, yeah.
So, honestly, the stock market will rise with higher interest rates. That's what bull markets actually do. If you do a simple correlation study and forget what they say on TV, you'll see this interest rates like 1929 to 32. They go from 6% down to about 0.5%. Stock market fell, to 10 cents on a dollar. Mm-hmm. 07 to 11, interest rates collapsed. Stock market went down. Mm-hmm. Japan has lowered interest rates to for basically 23 years to virtually zero. Right. It didn't support the economy, nor the Nikkei. I mean, Nikkei has recently started to go up, but that's because of people are anticipating inflation. Mm-hmm. But so you have to understand what really moves markets, and a bull market takes place with higher interest rates, not lower interest rates. So the U.S. market should continue to tread water in here. Now, I think any real rally is going to be preserved for, maybe starting the fourth quarter on out, but into probably 17, where we're going to see more of a major high at that point. The dollar is just going to continue to go up. It's just the euro, honestly, looking at my screen right now, and looks like we just hit 106.92. So
12-year lows we're looking at.
Yeah, and the euro is a dead currency. I don't see any hope in actually resurrecting it at all. And it will go through the 2000 low and break the 80-cent level eventually. But for now, we're going to probably test. It should bottom by tomorrow and then bounce a bit, and then test at least the 98 area. But, the euro is a complete disaster, And people don't realize how serious of a problem we're facing here. Yeah. All your banks, the reserves of the banking system is government bonds. Mm-hmm. And those bonds are not subject to mark-to-market. Right. The government says, it's our debt, so they're risk-free. Mm-hmm. On the accounting system, there's zero risk if a government bond is held And so if you take like Greek bonds or whatever, and they have fallen 50%, and this spreads to French and Italian, I mean, you're talking about wiping out the entire banking system of Europe.
Right.
It's a total disaster. And the U.S. will hold up initially, so this is what's pushing the dollar up. The dollar is effectively becoming the world currency. That's it. There's no other place to put your money right now.
Yeah, so I read that the Chinese have got an alternative to SWIFT, Chinese and Russians, that's just about ready to go, but who's going to risk switching over to it at this point in time?
I mean, nobody's really going to switch over to it. I mean, they're trying to. That's political, but the real thing that they're trying to like dethrone the dollar, but they can't. It's a little bit more complicated than that.
Right.
We have, all right, say $18 trillion worth of debt.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance companies has reserves, all right, and they need to park $500 billion. The dollar's the only place to go. Yeah. Can they go to yuan, Russian rubles? Come on. It's this is just the way it is right now. It's eventually. I think we'll end up in one world currency, but to create that, the dollar's got to go so high to get nosebleeds.
Yeah,
then after that, then we'll see. I mean, China, Russia. I mean, they're definitely screaming. They don't like the fact that their adversary's currency is the currency, but that's just simply the way the markets are. I mean, Japan. The yen is not a real world currency. I mean, the central bank owns 70% of its debt, so there's no place to park there. Canada is too small, and most people don't realize that as far as debt per capita, Britain's the worst.
Sure.
Not Greece, not France. Britain's actually the worst. So
lots of problems.
Yeah, we got problems absolutely everywhere. And then domestically here, we got all kinds of problems on the municipal levels. A lot of places you're going to see the higher the dollar goes, the higher unemployment we'll get. And, they keep pushing taxes and taxes and taxes because they have no other fiscal budget. And the way everything was designed was, well, we got enough schmucks so we can always just tax them whenever we need money.
They won't know the difference, right?
Yeah, and we're not an ATM. We do have limits as a society. And, Europe is I think when the general unemployment level reaches 20%, you're going to have massive civil unrest over there. You have unemployment among the youth over 60%. I mean, there's no shot at these, kids having a future.
Right. Sure. Yeah, it's really sad. You think about it. They're just, it's kind of lost.
Even in this country, Forbes magazine, reported that over 65% of the kids that spend money and have student loans cannot find a job in what they went to school for. So, and they don't really care. You can have basically get a degree in basket weaving. It doesn't matter. I mean, I really, other than a doctor or a lawyer, I don't know too many people that actually do what they went to school for.
Yeah.
So what is it? What is I mean, just get a piece of paper from a bubblegum machine,
Auto mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much. I mean, I think our education system's collapsed a lot, but Switzerland's interesting because it's a little bit more still like the old Roman system where it was really an apprenticeship. And I think it's less than 10% of the kids in Switzerland even go to college. They all go to apprentice. So if you wanted to be a sculptor or whatever, you get a job in that field. And that's where you really learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes total sense. Apprenticeship, that's the way it used to be in this country. And It used to be, even to become an attorney, you didn't have to go to law school. You clerked for 5 years with a law firm, and you didn't even have to take the bar exam in many states. But then the law schools basically formed a good lobby, changed the laws. Some states you can still get away with it, but basically, forget it. This is what it's kind of turned into here.
I mean, look at funds management. I mean, you can't go get a degree in hedge fund management.
Yeah.
It's learned on the street. That's it.
Yeah. Probably better off, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because it's, I mean, I went down to Australia, and they were so proud at Macquarie University that they wanted to show me a program that they were developing. And here they took like rooms in a hotel and set up people in each little room, and they pretended they were a dealing desk. Yeah. And then the professor would, control whatever it was that he wanted to send. He was going to raise interest rates, lower interest rates. But then they would be graded basically on theory. Well, I raised interest rates. Why didn't you, do this? And you went the wrong way, so you failed. I said, this is nuts. I at least use real market data.
Yeah.
But
that's college, and the professor.
It is. I mean, because in the real world, what is the maximum? Basically, you buy the rumor and you sell the news.
Yeah.
The capital works on anticipation. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. And there has to be a level of confidence. And it's like on the issue of gold. I mean, here we are with gold. I mean, today it's fallen back down to 1159. And no matter how much they scream and yell, I'm sorry, it's just it's not its time.
Right.
And it's not manipulation and all the stuff that they want to yell and scream about. Gold's not doing anything abnormal from the rest of the commodities. The dollar is screaming up. Gold should decline. I mean, it will still break the $1,000 level. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
Well, see about that, but it is interesting the way these markets are behaving, and the dollar going up, which very few people other than you and several other analysts ever anticipated. And I think there's a lot more turmoil ahead that we're all going to have to figure out a way to get through. Not easy times, and especially when you got kids and you're wondering what kind of world is going to be left for them. Anyway, Martin, we appreciate you taking time out from your day. We can't wait to see the movie. It's going to be great. And hey, we'll talk to you afterwards. Good luck with it. And hey, ArmstrongEconomics.com. Sign up. I get a number of Martin's missives during the day. Check it out. And we got the links on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. So go there, subscribe. And Martin, we'll talk to you again soon.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.